Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights. Welcome to the observation deck and a beautiful fall day. Just a gentle breeze in the 60s. Just beautiful, beautiful weather. I have a kind of a special edition buck video I would like to do today. I started collecting buck knives in about 2017 or so, and I've always had a fascination with buck knives. And one of the reasons is the Buck 110. Being a child of the 60s and 70s, when this knife came out, I saw all kinds of men carrying this on their belt, and I was always, I guess, a little envious maybe, because I never did get one. And now as an adult, I'm proud to be able to say I've got a 110. This came out in 1964, and it was a fantastic innovation that Buck came out with, the folding hunter, and this is the basis for many of the lockback knives of today. Of course, then, a few years later, they came out with the venerable Buck 112 Ranger. Just a couple of great knives. But what I'd like to explore here today is what has kept Buck successful? Why has so many knife companies come and gone? Wonderful old knife companies like Queen, Imperial, Schrade, Camillus. Why could they not keep up with the competition, and why did Buck still be such a successful company here today with USA made knives? So we're going to explore the evolution, the innovation of Buck and their modern folding knives. So I have a working theory on why Buck has stayed around and continues with U.S. operations. One of it is they were always willing to innovate and to try new things. Some things worked, some things didn't. So I started going through Buck catalogs starting back in the 70s and 80s, and the first, I guess what I would call modern folder knife that they came out with is in the 1984 Buck catalog, and that is when they introduced the Bucklite series. And as you can see, it doesn't have a traditional handle to it. It's got the finger grooves to it, and the Bucklite had a 3-inch blade, high chrome, high carbon, resistant steel with a positive lock open action. So you see a little bit of the DNA from the Buck 110 in this. So to me, this is the first introduction, other than the 110 and the 112, of what we might consider to be a modern EDC knife. Let's jump ahead to 1987, and this is when Buck introduced a titanium framed knife, and it's called, you know, they kind of described it as a space age knife, and it was made out of titanium. And also, one little thing that I noticed is this is the first time that I see that there is a belt clip that could be attached to the knife. So again, here's an innovation, trying to keep up with what we consider now EDC carry. So again, another example of them trying to keep up with the times, introducing something new, willing to think outside the box, as they say. Also in 1987, they came out with the new Mini Buck. And I happen to have an example of this one here. It is model number, is that 429? 423? I can't read it, it's so small. I'll put the model number up there. But they came out with the Mini Buck design. And over the years, there was lots of different examples of this basic pattern. Throughout the years, they use that kind of same basic design there. Here's this one here. And this is the model 444. And then in the 90s, they came out with this one, the Goliath. Wow, what a big knife, huh? You can see here, difference in sizes. So again, coming out with new knives, new lines. Continuing to innovate, Buck came out with a new lock, and it was introduced as the Buck Lock series. I don't happen to have one of these Buck Locks, but one of the fascinating things about going through these catalogs is I'm constantly finding models that, you know what, I need to get one just to have an example for my collection. But so I don't have a buck lock, and I don't think that this buck lock stayed around for too many years. It probably did not take off, and so you see that it kind of disappeared through the years. I don't know how many years they made this, but again, you try something. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and you move on. Jumping up to 1995, we can see another locking system, and this is called the cross lock. And they came out with a series of these knives. Again, I don't have one of these as an example, but it's something that I need to purchase, get into my collection. So, you know, it locks open, easy to close, roll over action. So as you can see there, I think there's a thumb stud on there. So we're starting to get into the, you know, one-handed opening. I don't know if you could one-hand close these or not. I have not worked this kind of lock before. And you can see there is the pocket clip on the knife. In 1997, they kind of came out with a revised Bucklite series. You can see the pocket clip on it. You can see thumb studs on it. But what's clear to me is they are recognizing what we would call the EDC market or something like that. Because it says dramatic new blade shape, easy one-hand opening, unique ribbed thumb rest. That's what makes both of these new Bucklites such great new knives. Ideal for outdoor recreational activities. They're sure to generate turns for you in 1997. In 1999, Buck introduced the Odyssey series. And here again, here's a knife that you can see has a very distinctive blade shape, kind of a drop point, I think is what they're calling this. So this first came out in 1997. It's a liner lock. Got the pocket clip to it. And they came out with several versions, several versions of the Odyssey. In 2005, it's the first example I think I came across where they're advertising assisted opening knives. And it appears it first came out on the model 290 Rush and the model 291. So they're talking about their assisted opening technology. While I don't have an example of the Rush, I do have the Quickfire here, the 288. This was actually a gift from John at JO Ventures. So, mid-lock, and it is a Quickfire. So there's your thumb stud, and boy, that just fires right out. Let me adjust my camera here just real quick. There, that gives me just a little bit more room. So we have this lock here, which locks the blade shut, so you can slide that back. Little pressure on that thumb stud, and that thing does quick fire right out. And I'm trying to think of what year this was made. I don't remember. But yeah. So again, innovation, keeping up with the trends, coming out with an assisted opening knife. In 2007, we see the introduction of the bones. And here is one of the bones right here. It came out in several different configurations, I think, as far as the blade. This one has partial serrations. This one has a tanto end to it. But here you go, they're experimenting with the open construction. And there's your pocket clip. So, this is a bones. In 2008, we saw the introduction of a very, very popular line that just ended here just a few years ago. But it is the Bantam series. And the Bantams came in 4 sizes. Here is the 283 Nano Bantam. And then you have the Bantam BBW. And then you have the Bantam BLW. And this size here included the pocket clip on it. And then you have the Bantam BHW. So these were fantastic EDC knives. This one's a little stiff to open behind the camera here, but just a wonderful blade shape on them. They were very lightweight. You can see there's no metal liners in there at all, so it does flex a little bit. So it's not for your super heavy, tough jobs. But if you just needed a light knife to carry in your pocket, like this size here, I have one of these in black that I used to daily carry all the time. Just a very, very handy knife. And then maybe a little big for a fifth pocket, but maybe even just in the wife's purse, you might like a nice little knife like this. So yeah, very affordable. What a great line of knives. So as you can clearly see through the years, Buck has just constantly innovated. They've came up with knives like this, the folding Alpha Hunter. Beautiful liner lock, nice and heavy. This is, I think it's almost 8 ounces, almost a half a pound. But this was a very popular knife for many years. They came out with the Spitfire. This is the mini Spitfire, along with the full-size Spitfire. Again, modern construction, what we consider to be modern knives. These, the Spitfire, I know at one time I had read that the Spitfire was one of their most top-selling models of knives, period. So these have become very popular. They've got into something like this, a more gentleman's carry. And I have a, there we go. You can see they're constantly trying to modify their knives or designs. And of course, my king of the modern knives here, this Sprint Pro Ops. This was a limited run. This is the model 842. Just a beautiful, gorgeous knife. Boss heat treatment, S30V steel. This thing is just very ergonomic. Even with the pocket clip, it doesn't bite into my palm. This is just a wonderful knife, and if I remember correctly, this is the first knife that Buck came out with that actually uses ball bearings. It's not flipping out good because I'm behind the camera. Little flick there. Nice and smooth. Just a great, terrific knife. If I'm carrying a modern knife, a lot of times it's this Buck right here. Well, we've kind of went full circle here. I'm going to end up with the Buck 110 again, and we talk about innovation. Buck just introduced that they have the automatic 110 in magnet cut steel. So what an example of upgrading, innovating, trying to hit the market trends. I don't know, what do you think? Leave a comment below. Has Buck tried to stay up with the game, getting into the EDC market? Yes, as a collector, I lament the fact that they kind of got out of the slip joint business, and most of their slip joints are made overseas. And yes, I prefer the old traditional slip joint knives, but I tell you what, I think Buck did it right. They've innovated, they've kept up with current trends, and they're always forward thinking. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that Buck Knives playlist, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, have a very delightful day.